Okay, let's see if we can get Aaron Colburn into the room with us. If that works, that would be super cool. So
Yeah.
I am on the phone.
look at that.
Oh, okay. I hear him. It's like a ghostly voice from beyond.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, nothing stands in this guy's way. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Aaron Colburn. So this is a lot of fun. Aaron is a rock star. He's been cooking it up out there for some time. Aaron, let's just dive right into a few questions for you, seeing we're going to do this over the phone. Let's talk about, where did you get your start? How did you branched out on your own? You went from working in shops, you branched out on your own. Give us a little background of what led up to that.
Yeah, so I'm in my 20th year in the industry. Joined the collision industry straight out of high school, and worked at a small dealership shop for a little over a year, and joined up with a family-owned MSO group that grew into 6 locations over a 10-year stretch that I was with them, and loved that experience. They sold to a consolidator back in 2016. Stayed a year with that consolidator, and then went over and joined a large dealership operation where I spent just under 5 years. So had a good taste of several different styles of business, and really liked a style that was going to be hard to duplicate. And growing up, family members were all self-employed, doing their own thing, talking about how great it was. Some of them failed multiple times and kept doing it and finally figured it out. And
Yeah.
just encouraged me that it's worth the leap. So
Yeah.
we celebrated 3 years in January at our Zionsville location. So it's been open 3 years, and Noblesville opened in May of last year. So just about a half a year at the second location.
Well, congratulations on that. That inspires me. I love working with entrepreneurs. You've been through quite a journey. I can kind of relate to it. The working for a independent turned consolidator and then a dealer. How have these different experiences, right? What are different between these different experiences for you?
So I think they've all got pros and cons. I definitely learned a lot of good things and some bad things from every outfit that I was a part of, and tried to piece that together with some performance groups and some industry events, and tried to kind of really pick up on there's always good in everything. And also speaking back some of Bob's comments on the previous speaker, I was able to develop relationships across the industry and across our markets here in Indiana. And, I think a very common theme, in my opinion, the process that I do is team effort, teamwork, where just trying to get everybody on the same page, and how do you create the most good with the people that you have. And I felt like that independent, locally owned and operated, more family style than the big corporate style of business was more along what I liked, and probably what came out of me, even in those corporate situations. So that's really my big takeaway from, I think, the 10 years working for the independent, locally owned and operated outfit. It's definitely what felt the best to me.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is interesting. So if I'm getting the timeline right here, you've had Zionsville for 3 years, and you just opened up another shop. Did I get that right, Aaron?
I opened a second location in May of last year. Yes.
Oh,
So
cool.
how quick is that? You started first shop, never really been in the ownership space. Boom, with less than a two and a half, whatever that window is, you open a second store. Tell us about how the second store is going. Tell us about some of the challenges that you overcame by becoming an MSO. I'm just genuinely curious what that looks like.
So yeah, my first location that I opened January of 22, it was actually an existing shop, but it was a 16,000 square foot facility, The owner was the manager, the estimator, the painter. He had two guys working for him. They really just did small cosmetic repair. And I didn't retain any of the three guys that were working there. So it was basically a startup, but it's on a well-traveled road. Been a body shop since 2003. So, it was established space. And it took off pretty well. The Noblesville location is a destination shop. You definitely have to find us online to find the shop. And
destination shop, I like that.
It actually, with the growth pattern of that startup, that was not an automotive facility. It was a warehouse turned collision center. We were able to exceed the 30-month mark that we did in an existing shop on a well-traveled road. So the second location actually took off way too fast. I staffed thinking it would be a slower startup, and it actually took off really well. So challenges there just being, growing a lot faster. I went from one shop to two, which I was nervous about. And then I went from, a second shop that was almost outperforming sales-wise, car count-wise, an existing shop.
What did that do to your personally to your life, right? Were you able to put systems in place, or did you find yourself spread really thin?
Well, systems and processes is kind of my thing and what I get excited about. So,
yeah.
My shops are both we're only open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5 to the public. So we're closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's an hourly team environment, so dedicated roles.
Like
So I just, knowing I was starting a second shop, I kind of built a second cell to move over to the new location. So I had CSR, estimator, manager, disassembly, reassembly tech, structural. I had all the roles filled, and I kind of assumed I would just, I moved pieces from the first location to the second and thought I would load level work to fill the other shop. So that worked for 2 months. And then as I could see it was going to grow, I was able to add some pieces. Fortunately, the 5 years I spent prior to opening my own shop, I was overseeing a staff that's twice the size of my current staff and doing slightly larger numbers than what both shops are doing now. So, I joke and say, even though I started my own business and doing it, it kind of slowed down a little bit for me for the first few years to kind of get back up to putting in the hours and effort I had to the previous 5.
Wow.
I get it. I think, a lot of people who are single store operators, we often see that hesitation to pull the trigger on the second shop. What advice would you have for those people that are maybe on the call with us right now that are thinking, hey, maybe it's time for us to think about getting another location? I think there's this for myself when we went from 1 and then 2, that was the hardest versus going all the way up to 8. We'd kind of got the system figured out, but I'd love to hear it from your perspective. What advice would you have for those folks?
I would say that if you feel that your shop's operating in a way that you could duplicate it, that there shouldn't be a whole lot of things stopping you from wanting to do that. I think if you have a system in place and you've got people in place that can train, or people in place that want to be promoted to that next spot, and you have a plan in place where they can easily move from that entry level tech to second level tech, or prepper to painter, CSR to estimator. If you have a system in place that you can easily make that transition, it should definitely be considered. So it makes things in a way a little more difficult. You've got maybe twice the space to keep up with and maintain and twice the staff, but if you're following the same process, it definitely can be done.
I love it. Aaron, my man, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for battling through the technical issues and being here today. Great advice, and we appreciate you being on. Thanks for coming.